Okay. Okay. I'm not gonna lie. I'm not gonna lie. I'm screwing up this whole stream for y'all. But wait. I I wasn't gonna do this.
Signs they were doing everything kind of the normal way that they should be. And then
what happened? It was going to be my mental health stream.
Yeah.
We'll switch to mental health as soon as this does. See what happens.
Again.
Look
at that. The wheel goes flailing. Boy, almost went through that fence right here.
That's a fun way to start a mental health stream, right?
But fortunately, kind of spun around right at the perfect time. And just like that, I think.
All right, let's see him get out.
We have a passenger here.
He's like, yeah, I'm going to get out.
It looks like that's very
Hands are up.
We'll go mental health in a minute. I couldn't help myself.
Yeah, that one that
it just went live.
To the back, that came
hey,
off.
Hey, Dandy, how you doing, love?
Looks like an older person in the passenger seat too.
Look, they're like, oh, my hands are out.
Definitely don't.
No harm here. Hey, Muffins.
It looks like
we're doing mental health, but you know when shit happens, you can't help it.
Well, yeah, right up in there, you can see. So, sometimes that's all it takes. I mean, LA County Sheriff's deputies.
I'll back it up so we can see them.
On this one.
Hey, you think they need better? I'm gonna back it up so we can see it. Okay, hold up.
Older person in the passenger.
Hold up.
Here we go.
It happened so fast. Look, he pitted it.
Well, maybe.
Wait. Right here. Ready?
Look at that. The wheel goes flailing. Boy.
And that passenger stuck their hands out right away. They're like, oh, no.
A close call with that fence right there, but we've got hands out the window, and hopefully we'll see them surrendering shortly.
I was going to say, Mike, if there is any damage there to the fencing or to maybe the retaining wall around that home, what happens to that homeowner?
Yeah, they'll have to file a claim. Usually the county may pick it up.
With their stupid questions. What are they going to do? Oh, look, they're going to get out.
It's not a fun process for anybody. It's certainly not a fast process either. And, I just want to point out, I was watching
it's a lady? No, it's a man.
They were doing the pit. Now we've got the passenger out and surrendering. You see that green laser? That's going to be a taser that they are pointing.
Oh, yeah.
So you've got less lethal as well as lethal, obviously trained on this person. But we were just barely at the speeds acceptable for a pit maneuver. Remember, we like to do pits 30, 35 miles an hour. Look at Desmond's screen right there on the right side of your screen. We're approaching 34, 35 right when they do it.
Almost 40 miles an hour.
Yeah, and you can tell because of how fast it spun out. I mean, it's a really good example of why they don't like to do them much faster than that.
Wow.
Because we just essentially
sorry
really
about
got lucky
that. So
where the spot was that we didn't hit.
Actually, so what I was going to start out. So I wanted to do, and I totally lost the whole thing. I know, what is wrong with people? I know the rover, it just went. That was funny, and that back wheel flew open. Anyways, so I wanted to just throw together a quick mental health stream tonight. I'm not going to make it very long, but y'all, we all need love. We all need love. Okay, we all watch trials. Most of us do, anyways. Charlie, after his trial with his mama, on his way back for transportation, they stopped and got him Wendy's. And the joy on his face. Yes, he is a convicted murderer. I'm not even going to sugarcoat that shit, guys. But he has a smile. He's happy. So I wanted to share. Even the crazy people have happy moments. So here, let me. You hear that? Yeah.
Thank you so much, man.
Charlie, yes, we are across the street from the jail. I'll go as slow as I can, but you eat what you. What? I ain't gonna. You eat it all. I'm not gonna take you out the van until you're done. You good?
Look, they even uncuffed one of him. Look, so he can eat his Wendy's French fries. Okay, look, we all need love, even murderers. So. I just thought it was great. Hey, Maria. I had to share that to start off with. He is just so, floor fries. I guess, honestly, in any situation like he's in, I would be happy to get Wendy's too, even though I don't like Wendy's. Okay. So I want to talk a little bit about childhood trauma again. That's kind of what I've been stuck on with my own things. And these are just my experiences, my thoughts, all that. So take this as you will. I don't think I've done a mental health stream. What color was he wearing? He was wearing actually a blue, when the lights came on, it's a blue shirt. So whatever the blue shirt that I guess he got to wear for court, I'm not sure. Purple. Was it purple? Look blue. Maybe purple. But anyway, so I want to do a mental health stream. I just kind of wanted to talk about just general trauma type things, break the stigma, things that aren't talked about. It's okay to not be okay. I'm not okay. Holidays are coming. That's my worst time of year. Not gonna lie. For y'all that don't know, Muffins in the chat is my daughter. She is my adult child. So I have no problems talking about any of this in front of her. And please be kind to your comments, my child, of what you say about me in my mental health stream. Okay, I'm going to hit play on this, and I will pause and give some commentary because I find a lot of this fascinating. A lot of it hits home that I really didn't realize till I started really getting in and realizing more of my childhood trauma. So with that, I'm going to hit play.
Crisis unfolding around the world, one you might not even notice at first glance. Mental health is deteriorating globally, and many people don't even realize how deeply affected they are. That's why we're more committed than ever to creating impactful, healing content that helps people feel seen, heard, and supported. So thank you for being a part of this powerful journey. Let's start with one difficult but necessary question. Did you really grow up in a healthy environment? Childhood is supposed to be a sacred time, filled with play, discovery, warmth, and guidance. It's where you first learn how the world works, mostly through the care and attention of your parents or caregivers. But sadly, not everyone gets this gift. Some grow up in households that are anything but happy. If you were emotionally neglected, constantly criticized, or physically abused as a child, you might still be suffering its impact today, even if you don't recognize it. You may have accepted pain, fear, or silence as normal, carrying them into adulthood like invisible baggage.
So with that, I wanted to stop and make a comment. I didn't realize what I carried into my adulthood. Never did. Never considered it. Wasn't until about 5 years ago when I totally turned my life around and was able to get my mental health under control with the help of doctors leaving the situation at hand that was causing me to keep going back and doing repetitive things that weren't good for me. So there's been a lot of changes in my life.
Let's dive into the first sign, childlike reactions to stress. How do you respond when things get overwhelming? While it's natural for children to cry or throw tantrums when they're upset, it's unusual even concerning, to see an adult reacting the same way. But if you faced trauma during childhood, your brain might default to those early behaviors when you're distressed. This is called age regression, a psychological defense where you temporarily return to earlier emotional stages. You may speak in baby talk, rock yourself for comfort, clutch onto stuffed toys, or even cry uncontrollably. In severe cases, it might even lead to bedwetting or curling up in a fetal position. Next is...
Okay, with that, I have to stop. My thought on that, and these are just me and my responses, my traumas, my triggers. I do this. I so do this so often, and I don't do it often, but I'm able to catch myself when I do it now because I can see it as it's happening. If somebody is unhappy with me or unhappy with my thought and my idea, I would just start crying. No reason, just start crying. No reason. I'm an adult. I should be able to control my emotions better, but I can't. The first thing I do when somebody is saying anything negative to me, tears just start falling. I never had an explanation for it. So Here's my explanation.
Insecure attachment. In psychology, attachment theory explains how our early relationships shape our views of trust, love, and connection. If your caregivers were emotionally present and responsive, you probably developed secure attachment, feeling safe, valued, and confident in forming relationships. But if your parents were neglectful, inconsistent, or dismissive, your brain may have learned that people can't be trusted and that you don't deserve love. As a result, you might now fear closeness or constantly worry about being abandoned. Even in healthy relationships, you may feel like you're walking on eggshells, waiting for people to leave or hurt you. Third is,
And I will stop with that one on number 2. My first thing would be, I put up a defense mechanism. I want to push him away. I find an excuse. I run. It's a fear, fear of being abandoned. No, I have the biggest fear of being abandoned. And here's even more truth. Muffins. My first thought of having a child was, oh my God, this is mine. This is mine. This is something that will never leave me. I will never be abandoned again, because now I have this beautiful child that will never leave me. Now things happened. I did get abandoned by her for a while. It is what it is. And let me tell you, that was so hard and so traumatizing. But I got over it. I did get over it. I got through it. But just so you know, I did. When I had my baby, when my baby was born in 1991, that was the most precious thing to me because it was mine. And I didn't have to share it with anybody. At least I didn't think I had to share it with anybody. But, here she is 30-something years later.
conflict avoidance. Did your parents ever allow you to disagree, or were your opinions always shut down? In an overly critical or emotionally unstable home, you may have learned that speaking up leads to punishment or rejection. So now, when someone upsets you, a partner, coworker, or friend, you'd rather stay silent, change the topic, or pretend you're fine just to keep the peace. Even when your needs aren't being met, you might force yourself to smile and agree, just to avoid the fear of making others upset. Now let's talk.
Okay, so with that one, the running joke is, Sheila, just wag your tail and smile. That was just wag your tail and smile, because that's what I felt I had to do to make everybody else happy. Just agree with them. Whatever they're doing is right. Conflict was nothing but turmoil. And I had to stop the conflict. So whatever I had to do in the past to stop the conflict, I would do. I never set boundaries. I never said, okay, enough is enough. We can't do this. It was whatever I had to do. So I'm just throwing this out here because I want y'all to know that it's okay to not be okay. It's okay. It's okay.
About low self-worth. Think back, were you ever praised as a child? Or were your achievements brushed off and your mistakes amplified? If you were constantly criticized, mocked, or made to feel like a burden, you may have internalized a cruel voice that still whispers, "You're not good enough. You'll never succeed." Even when others compliment you, you might feel like you don't deserve it. Your mind may keep you in a cycle of self-doubt and anxiety, always wondering if people secretly disapprove of you, even when there's no evidence of that.
And see, look, here we go. Children don't belong to anyone. We're blessed as parents to have them for a short while. They belong to the world. That's right. But when you're in a mental state, it's really hard. And the criticism, yes, I was never told I was doing anything good. It was always negative. The negative was always pointed out. I'm having trouble remembering childhood memories that are positive. I can rattle off negative memories. I can rattle off bad things. As far as happy memories, I remember getting a bike for Christmas one year. I don't remember many birthdays. I could tell you maybe I remember one birthday, it was my 13th birthday, because we were going to go to the skating rink and have a slumber party, but the carpet got taken out of the house because the house flooded because a pipe burst, and so I couldn't have a 13th birthday party. That stuff I remember. Other than that, I don't have the good memories. And I don't know if that's from blocking or exactly what it is, but everything was so negative. And it was funny because just the other day I was talking to Hio in the background, and I made a comment, something about, we were talking about Texas history. And I had said, I used to love Texas history. As a matter of fact, when I was a junior in high school, I had a straight 100 that semester in Texas history because I loved it so much and I was so focused on it. On my report card, the whole semester, I had straight hundreds, and it was one of my best achievements. I couldn't tell you. My parents never praised me for that. Never praised. But you sure as shit got a C or a D on your report card. Your ass was busted. You were grounded. You were no good. You were stupid. So, yeah, there wasn't the praise. It wasn't there.
Lastly, one of the more dangerous signs, risky behavior. If your childhood was filled with emotional chaos, your brain might seek intense experiences just to feel something. This can lead to self-destructive behaviors like binge drinking, drug use, reckless driving, or toxic relationships. Studies show that childhood trauma is closely linked with high-risk behavior and PTSD symptoms. This isn't about thrill-seeking. It's often an unconscious way to escape the emotional numbness or pain. But risking your safety, health, or life is never a solution, and always a red flag that deeper wounds need to be addressed. So, do you think you may have experienced a traumatic childhood? If these signs feel familiar, you're not alone, and it's never too late to begin healing.
So I dropped theirs in the chat, the link for them. They have a whole bunch of other stuff on their website. They're a great source just for information. By no means are we diagnosing or anything like that. I'm just explaining my experiences and letting you know, knock the stigma off. Oh, I got eye problems. Knock the stigma off. It's okay. It's okay. And it's okay to talk about it. It's okay to talk about it. A lot of people don't want to talk about it. They're like all freaked out. So this one is, this is a little short video. It's called The Psychology of an Ignored Child. I found it quite interesting and I wanted to play it. And after that, we'll go. I just wanted to just kind of throw these out here.
There's a quiet truth about children who grow up ignored. They often become adults who struggle to believe they deserve attention at all. They walk into a room and feel like they must shrink. They enter relationships and wonder if they're too much. They succeed in something, but instead of celebrating, they wait for it to be overlooked, as if invisibility is their natural state. This is not because they lack talent or worth, but because the foundation of their sense of self was built in silence. Psychologists call this an internalized neglect schema. It means that over time, the brain wires itself to expect neglect, to anticipate dismissal, to assume that needs are a burden. A child who is ignored enough times eventually learns not to ask. They convince themselves that wanting love, affection, or understanding is somehow wrong.
It's not wrong. Again, we have to break the cycle of everybody thinking that it's not okay to talk about this. It's not okay to be yourself. It is okay. You are loved. You are enough. And I can never stress that enough times. And I always try to end my stream letting everybody know that no matter what, there is somebody out there. You may not think about it. You may think you're the only one. You're abandoned. Nobody loves me. Everybody hates me. I'm going to eat a worm. But you're not alone.
Have you ever seen a child standing in a crowded room, quietly tugging at their parent's sleeve, waiting for even the smallest glance, the smallest acknowledgement? Maybe you've noticed it on a playground, in a classroom, or even in your own family. The child who doesn't cry the loudest.
Okay, I want to address this. Okay, I'm going to read out loud. I was an A student most of my education, Never got a great job or anyone to attend my ceremony awards. There was a moment where I said, look, I'm going to do it for me and not everyone else. I will take that down just so you can see my face as I say this. I had nobody at any of that stuff. They were not there. And I didn't realize I needed to do it for me. Nobody told me I needed to do it for me. And I wasn't even told about going to college. I'm not, this is so, I don't want sympathy or accolades or anything for saying any of this. So I need to make sure I say that I'm just expressing myself. I was never, I watched some of these trials and I'm like, oh my God, I never even knew this kind of job existed. And these FBI jobs, these footprint jobs, I didn't know. I was so sheltered. And oh my Lord, if my mom and dad even knew I was talking about mental health, oh my Lord, if my mom or dad knew I was, let me tell you, I'm already black sheep. I mean, my mom's passed. My dad doesn't talk to me, so it's okay. But Muffins, could you imagine?
Who doesn't demand attention, but instead retreats into silence. On the surface, it might seem like nothing dramatic is happening, but inside that child's mind, something profound is unfolding. Because for a child, being ignored isn't just an inconvenience, it feels like a deep fracture in the very foundation of their sense of self. And here's the painful truth. Childhood neglect, whether intentional or unintentional, doesn't always look like abuse. It doesn't always look like cruelty.
And let me stop there and say this. I don't feel like my mother was abusing me or anything like that. Never once would I say that about my mother. Now, were things done in a way that was generational, that should have changed, that I tried to change with my children? Yes. Yes. There are things that we learn, and then we have to break the cycle and change. And it took a long time for me to break that cycle and change, but Muffins will tell you, I did. It took a lot, but I did.
Sometimes it's simply absence. Sometimes it's the unanswered questions, the lack of eye contact, the forgotten birthday, or the parent too busy, too tired, too distracted to notice. But the psychology of the ignored child runs deep. It shapes how they see themselves, how they view the world, and even how they build relationships decades later. We often assume children are resilient, that they bounce back from almost anything. And yes, children do adapt, but adaptation is not the same as healing. When a child learns to live without acknowledgement, they adapt by shrinking themselves, by hiding their needs, by convincing themselves they don't matter as much as others. And this adaptation, though it allows them to survive childhood, can quietly haunt their adulthood in ways they may not even recognize. From a psychological perspective, acknowledgement isn't just about feeling good, it's about survival. Research in developmental psychology consistently shows that children need three core things to thrive: safety, stimulation, and connection. If one of these is missing, their development is affected. But connection, being seen, heard, and valued, is the one that shapes the child's sense of identity most directly. John Bowlby, the founder of attachment theory, argued that secure attachment, formed when a caregiver consistently acknowledges and responds to a child's needs, creates a foundation of trust. That trust then becomes the blueprint for future relationships. But if a child is ignored, if their needs are met with silence or inconsistency, they don't just feel disappointed in the moment. They internalize a dangerous belief. Maybe I don't deserve love. Maybe I'm not important. This isn't exaggeration. Studies in neuroscience show that when a child's attempts at connection are repeatedly ignored, their brain interprets it as a threat. The stress response is activated. Cortisol floods the body. Over time, this can rewire their nervous system to expect rejection. Their baseline becomes anxiety. Their emotional regulation becomes fragile. And yet, from the outside, they might just look like a quiet kid. When a child is outright mistreated, the harm is obvious. But when a child is ignored, the damage is more invisible, more subtle, but just as real. A child might stop asking questions because they expect no answer. They might stop showing excitement because no one responds. Over time, they begin to disappear, not physically, but emotionally. Psychologists sometimes call this emotional neglect. Unlike
I want to stop there for a minute. And please don't take me as being rude if I'm not. But yes, that's our Hio. That's our Hio. She did a little she did a little rebranding. She did a little rebranding. But yes, hugs to all of you. And don't take me as being rude, not putting up any comments on the stream. I don't want to put anybody's trauma out there, so I'm kind of just putting out, just little facts of ending the stigma and all that. I don't want to put any of your trauma up on screen, so don't take that as me being rude. And see, here I am apologizing. I'm gonna tell you. See, this is me. This is my internal wanting to make it okay. I texted somebody earlier tonight, and I was honest with her. I said something. I texted her and I said something very negative to her. This is me. I got this. She knows who she is. I said something very negative, but it was me being honest. And it was out of concern. So then, because I felt bad, I immediately said, I'm sorry, and then started sending this person pictures of me and my dog because I needed to make it okay. Sorry, I wasn't going to cry tonight. I was going to be all positive and everything, y'all. But see, this is my true emotion. This is me. And yes, K-Swan's 100. Sometimes truth hurts. And I did it as my natural response of what I am now, being so honest. And then my first thought was to suck it back in, and I couldn't take that text back. And I thought I hurt her feelings. I know I didn't hurt her feelings. I know I didn't. She was okay. She texted me she was okay. But I had to be honest because I have been so honest with this person. And then again, like I said, the first thing I did was worry internally. Oh my God, I'm losing my friend. I fucked up. I told her the truth. I told her that I didn't think it was okay. And so, but it's okay. I'm okay. And it just took me a minute to suck it all back in and realize, get your shit in check. I'm not looking at my text. To suck it all back in and get your shit in text. And so that's what I had to do. That's what I had to do. And I had to kind of refocus myself and everything. So I know when I'm not okay, and I have to refocus myself. So I just wanted to say that. And I did. I refocused and I was okay. But it takes a moment. It takes a moment to stop and say, oh, wait. Yeah, you don't mean harm, but you can't protect others' feelings or their thoughts. Right. It does. It hurt. Resilience. Onward. Always for it. I'm honest is hard. People aren't honest enough. Well, you met me. I'm a little too honest sometimes. Okay, I'm gonna hit play. We're gonna get through this. We got about 10 minutes left, 12 minutes left.
And like physical neglect, which leaves scars you can see. Emotional neglect leaves scars hidden beneath the surface. These scars often don't fully appear until adulthood, when the ignored child tries to build intimacy, chase dreams, or find meaning, and runs straight into the quiet, unhealed wounds of their past. For example, many adults who grew up feeling ignored report struggles with low self-esteem. They hesitate to share their thoughts, believing nobody really cares. They may fear rejection so deeply that they avoid relationships altogether. or conversely, they may desperately chase approval, bending over backwards to keep others happy, because deep down, they're still trying to earn the acknowledgement they missed as a child. Imagine being 8 years old and running home from school with a drawing you're proud of. You hold it up to show your parent, but they're busy on the phone. You try again at dinner, but the conversation passes you by. Eventually, you put the
Oh my gosh. Oh my gosh. A flash memory. A flash memory. I remember when Elvis died. Oh my gosh. What a flash memory. I remember when Elvis died. I was sitting outside with my little neighbor. Her name was Lisa. And I was 5 years old. And I remember running in the house to tell my mom because I was so freaked out. We had a little transistor radio, and I heard on the transistor radio. And I ran in the house to tell my mom. And I remember tripping over the phone cord because remember those long phone cords that went, 50 feet across the room that was hanging on the kitchen wall? And she was sitting on the couch. And I remember tripping over the phone cord and her hollering at me. And I remember trying to tell her about Elvis, and she couldn't understand me. And she brushed me off. She brushed me off and ignored me. So I just a flash about that. I don't know. I don't know why.
drawing away, and you never mention it again. Now imagine this happening not once, but dozens, even hundreds of times over childhood. The child learns that excitement, pride, even joy are things best kept to themselves. And years later, as an adult, that same person might struggle to celebrate their own successes, dismissing them as unimportant. The ignored child becomes the adult who ignores themselves. Research confirms this. A 2019 study in the Journal of Child Psychology and Psychiatry found that emotional neglect in childhood is strongly correlated with chronic feelings of loneliness in adulthood, regardless of social environment. In other words, even if that adult has friends, family, or a partner, a quiet emptiness often lingers inside. Most parents who ignore their children don't do so out of cruelty. Often it's the result of stress, economic hardship, mental health struggles, or simply not understanding how critical acknowledgement is.
And see, and that's where I say, I don't think my mom ever abused me. Now my dad, that's a whole nother story. But my mother, she did what she thought was right. Now, would it be right in today's society? Would it be right in today's world? Oh, hell no.
A parent working 2 jobs may have little emotional energy left. A parent dealing with depression may struggle to notice their child's bids for attention. And in the modern age, digital distractions, phones, screens, endless notifications pull focus away from family life. But intention doesn't erase impact. To the child, the absence feels the same, regardless of why it happens. That's why understanding the psychology of the ignored child matters so much, because awareness is the first step to breaking the cycle. Ignored children often develop coping mechanisms that, at first glance, can even look like strengths. Some become fiercely independent, learning to take care of themselves early. Others become high achievers, striving to finally earn the acknowledgement they crave. Some become peacekeepers, avoiding conflict at all costs in order to keep a fragile sense of connection alive.
And I think that's just what I explained earlier is you got to keep that peace. You just have to. It's ingrained in me. I have to figure out how to make peace with all of it.
But beneath these strengths is often exhaustion. The independent child grows into an adult who struggles to trust others. The high achiever becomes the perfectionist, never satisfied. The peacekeeper becomes the people pleaser, unable to say no. And perhaps the most heartbreaking adaptation is the child who stops trying altogether. The one who concludes, if no one cares anyway, why bother? This child often carries apathy into adulthood, struggling with motivation, ambition, and hope. Ignored children rarely talk about their experience, because how do you explain what it feels like to be invisible? There's no dramatic story to tell, no event to point to, no scars to show, just silence. Just the memory of moments that should have mattered but didn't. And that silence itself can become a barrier. Adults who grew up ignored often hesitate to seek help, fearing they'll be dismissed again. Therapy clients sometimes minimize their experiences, saying, "Nothing really bad happened to me." But the absence of something essential is itself a trauma. It's like growing up in a house without air. Just because you survive doesn't mean you were breathing freely. The long-term effects are real and they're measurable. Research from the National Institute of Mental Health shows that adults who experienced emotional neglect as children are at higher risk of anxiety, depression, and difficulty forming close relationships. Another study from Harvard Center on the Developing Child points out that consistent acknowledgement in childhood strengthens neural pathways related to resilience, while neglect weakens them. Put simply, acknowledgement isn't a luxury, it's a developmental necessity. This doesn't mean every ignored child is doomed. Many grow into compassionate, thoughtful adults precisely because they know what it feels like to be unseen. But it does mean their journey is often harder. It means they have to spend years unlearning beliefs that were planted in them before they even knew how to question them.
And I think that's a lot of what I've been going through here recently is learning how to deal with it and learning that it's okay. I'm going to drop my Discord link that Hio has graciously helped me with. There is a section in there that is important links. And if anybody ever needs them, there is all kinds of links for mental health. And I think we're going to make that more of a little mental health corner. I haven't talked to Hio about that, but I've been throwing him in there, and I was going to talk to her later about doing some adjustment on that.
So where does healing begin? Not with perfection, not with instantly becoming confident, but with recognition. With the simple but powerful act of saying to yourself, what happened to me mattered. My needs were real. My pain is valid. For the ignored child who grew into an adult, the first step is often giving themselves the acknowledgement they didn't receive. And though that may sound abstract, it can be surprisingly practical.
And absurd as it sounds, right now, as you see me now, this is me.
Can be as small as pausing to celebrate your own wins, as small as saying your feelings out loud, even if only to yourself, as small as daring to believe that what you think and feel matters. Because the truth is, acknowledgement isn't something you outgrow. The need to be seen doesn't vanish with age, it just goes underground, and the journey of healing is about bringing it back into the light. Think about how this shows up in friendships. An ignored child often becomes the quiet friend who listens deeply but struggles to share their own struggles. They may be the person who always shows up for others but rarely asks for support in return. To the outside world, they may seem selfless, but inside...
And I will wait until I never ask for help. I avoid asking others to help me. It's just who I am. I've always felt like I have to do everything myself. You don't ask for nobody to assist you in anything. And then I hit my breaking point and I'm throwing things and I'm quitting. I'm walking away. Nope, I'm not walking. I'm running the hell away. So I've had to reground myself, stop, slow down, and learn to reach out. And it's okay to reach out. It's okay to reach out. And that's something I have to learn still to this day. She will tell you I don't reach out.
There's often a lingering ache. Why don't I matter as much as others? This isn't selfishness. It's simply a longing for balance that was never given. In romantic relationships, the patterns can be even more profound. Some adults who were ignored as children become desperate for affection, clinging tightly to anyone who shows them attention. Others go in the opposite direction, keeping emotional distance because closeness feels dangerous. Both reactions come from the same root: the fear that love will disappear, the expectation that their needs will not be met. And yet, here is the paradox. The ignored child often becomes one of the most empathetic adults you will ever meet. Because they know the sting of being unseen, they have a heightened sensitivity to the emotions of others. Studies in developmental psychology have shown that neglected children often develop strong observational skills.
All I can do is sit here and smile and nod my head because it's like somehow this person must have been like a fly on the wall in the corner of my house where I was growing up.
They learn to read faces, tones of voice, and small shifts in mood because their survival depended on it. They had to sense when it was safe to speak or when silence was the only option. That hyper-awareness can become a gift in adulthood, but it also carries a heavy cost. They may tune in to everyone else while tuning out themselves. There's another layer to this, one we rarely talk about. When a child is ignored, their sense of identity can remain blurry. They weren't mirrored back, meaning their emotions and thoughts weren't acknowledged enough for them to feel real in the eyes of others. So as adults, they may constantly search for validation, not because they're shallow, but because they were never given the chance to fully see themselves reflected in the love of another. Identity grows in connection. Without that reflection, selfhood becomes fragile. But here's where something remarkable happens. The human mind has a resilience that is almost poetic. Even when a child grows up ignored, they still carry a quiet hope. That's why so many ignored children, as adults, seek healing. They read books about psychology, they dive into self-discovery, they go to therapy, or they journal their deepest thoughts. They are not content to live in the silence they were raised in. They want to break
Absolutely.
it. That desire alone is proof of strength, and healing is possible. Neuroscience has shown us that the brain is not fixed. It adapts, changes, and rewires. This means that even if a child grew up ignored, as an adult they can build new patterns. Every time they speak up and are heard, the brain registers safety. Every time they set a boundary and it is respected, the nervous system learns trust. Every moment of healthy connection becomes like a drop of water, wearing away the stone of old wounds. Healing doesn't always look dramatic. Sometimes it looks like finally telling a friend, "I need you to listen to me right now." Sometimes
You're right. Didn't happen overnight. Took us a long time. And to stop and say, I need somebody to listen to me now is still, even at 53 years old, it is hard. It is.
it's daring to say, "I feel hurt," instead of swallowing the pain. Sometimes it's sitting alone and whispering to yourself, "My feelings matter, even if no one taught me that before." These small moments are actually revolutions because they push back against years of silence. And the truth is, none of this is easy. Ignored children often grow into adults who fear rejection more than anything. So speaking up can feel terrifying. Setting boundaries can feel like betrayal. Asking for help can feel like weakness. But the courage to do those things, despite the fear, is what slowly repairs the self. It's important to say this too. Parents who ignore their children are not always cruel. Sometimes they themselves were ignored. Sometimes they were overwhelmed, lost in their own struggles, or simply unaware of the impact of their absence. This doesn't excuse the wound, but it reminds us that cycles of neglect often stretch back through generations. When an adult begins to heal from being ignored, they are not only healing themselves, they are breaking a chain that may have lasted decades. Think of it this way. Every ignored child who learns to listen to themselves becomes a parent, a friend, or a partner who listens better. Every ignored child who learns to value their needs becomes someone who teaches others that their needs matter too. Healing ripples outward, and this brings us to one of the most important truths. An ignored child often feels like their existence didn't leave a mark, but in reality, their story carries immense power. Their journey of invisibility and their fight to reclaim visibility can inspire others in ways they may never know. By sharing their truth, they remind others who have been silent that they're not alone. By daring to heal, they open the door for others to heal too. So if you were that child, if you ever sat in your room waiting for someone to notice you, if you ever felt like your emotions were too heavy for anyone to carry, if you ever wondered whether your presence mattered, let me say this to you now. It mattered then, and it matters now. You matter now. Healing is not about erasing the past. It's about giving yourself the love you deserved all along. It's about learning to see yourself not through the eyes of neglect, but through the eyes of compassion. It's about realizing that being ignored shaped you, but it does not define you. The psychology of the ignored child is a story of pain, yes, but also of extraordinary resilience. It's the story of how silence can create wounds, but also how breaking that silence can create wisdom. It's the story of how invisibility can feel like a curse, but can also fuel a deeper empathy, a deeper drive to connect, and a deeper hunger for truth. In the end, the child who was ignored often becomes the adult who refuses to ignore others. And in that choice, imperfect, messy, brave, they discover something profound. They were never truly invisible. They were simply waiting to be seen.
You ever notice how the smallest stuff your parents did still haunts you?
Okay. We're going to end the way we started. You are enough. Your feelings matter. You are not alone. And even Charlie can be happy with Wendy's.
My man.
My man.
Thank you so much, man.
Charlie,
Yes, sir.
we are across the street from the jail. I'll go as slow as I can, but you eat what you. I ain't gonna. You eat it all. I'm not gonna take you out the van until you're done. You good?
Oh my God.
All right. All right. Even the floor French fries. Oh, yeah, we did start with the chase. You're right. All right. So even Charlie got to enjoy himself. So with that, just know you are loved. You are enough no matter what. I want to do these on Wednesday nights. I want to call them my Hump Day mental health check-in, middle of the week. So if you're interested, I will try to be doing this. I'm probably playing them like at 10:30, so Central. So with that, I just want y'all to know it's okay, and it's okay to talk about it, and I'm okay talking about it. So all the love in the chat, everybody's sending hugs. It's all great. I appreciate every one of y'all for being here. And my beautiful little muffins, the fact that she stayed around, I'm impressed. I'm impressed. All right. Y'all have a great rest of your night. You see y'all tomorrow, 1 o'clock, my regular stream. Peace.
Life's a ride on a rickety old track, holding